we finally know how to defeat the Night King and his army. Like, to me, that is really interesting and something the show didn't play up that much. But we got our first look at how the Night King will most likely be defeated.
You got the clue of Jon hitting the White Walker and then all the Whites drop dead. And then there's a sort of sympathy between the White they have on the rock and they kick him and everybody else kind of groans. Like,
I didn't even notice that. That's really...
Yeah, like they built up this sense of connection between them all, which I thought was really smart.
I think that's really smart, and I always wonder with moments like these, did it come from George? But to me, it is the most clean way that the show can set up to easily defeat these many, many Whites that are out there, because it's not necessarily the White Walkers themselves that are the threat, beyond that the Night King can resurrect everyone anytime there's a battle, which is very dangerous. But, for the first time we know, really all you have to do mostly is defeat the various White Walkers, and then at least the vast majority of the army will drop dead. Something that people were pretty confused about, and the show's been playing a little fast and loose with, is how do you create a White? Is it simply that the White dies north of the wall, or a person dies north of the wall and are brought back? Does the Night King need to resurrect them? If he touches them, they seem to become like a White Walker. I think that it's not as simple as, you die north of the wall and you're brought back. I think the concern is that if there are a bunch of dead bodies preserved in the cold lying around, the Night King can walk by and resurrect them. But what did you make of this? Were you getting frustrated that, they could have just taken this guy who was killed by a bear and headed back and not had to worry about even getting a White?
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
But again, that's one of the I think, narrative conveniences they're putting in place for the sake of the plot. Same thing with, like, the Night King doesn't throw the spear until almost all the army's destroyed.
And Drogon is right there.
And then you've got,
right there.
You've got the unkillable Jon Snow. It's like there's a lot of just convenient things in this that don't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like they ended up on plot ice is what I kept joking last night.
Yeah, so I love the idea of the mission. The sort of like ragtag Magnificent Seven style group going out. But I think in order for that to work, they have to come back like having been utterly defeated, right? For me to have cared about that mission, something bad has to have happened. And like Thoros dies. Nobody cares about Thoros.
See, I was sort of wrestling with this as well, and I was like, why is this happening now? Why did Dany have to go and face the Night King and his army now, before we're even at the end of season 7? There are 6 more episodes in season 8 plus the finale. Like, to me, this felt like a season 8 moment. And thinking about it, and again, I went back and I watched the episode a second time after it aired, and I really think it's not only to have Daenerys know and see this threat. Though I was joking, I'm like, maybe the finale, they're just going to fly Cersei up there because it's so easy to get from King's Landing, like up to north of Eastwatch where the army is.
Right.
I think that it's not only to have her know, but so that we as the audience can get our first clue that these people can be defeated. All she has to do is fly in with a night, like attack the Night King with one of her 2 remaining dragons. Yeah. Though now the added threat is he has his own zombie dragon, not ice dragon, because in Martin's works, ice dragon are like a different sort of dragon species. Interesting distinction. Do you have any final thoughts on sort of this big revelation part of the episode?
I mean, you mentioned like maybe that's a season 8 thing, but like it's important to remember there are 7 episodes left, right? So this is basically, this to me is the final season. This year and the subsequent year. That's the final season of the show, in my opinion. So I don't think there's a lot of room for them to do stuff in season 8. Obviously, if we want to talk about what's next, they've got to come together, and like there's still more plot to be resolved. But for me, I think this felt right where it was. I was just frustrated that there was so much just kind of convenient storytelling that didn't ring true for me, both in terms of some of the characters' motivations and in terms of what happens between them.